Hello, this is May 7th. My name is Jakob Drebes. I have spent the last month ordering parts for a new workstation, PC, that I wanted to build. And I've got almost all the parts here now. The only thing I'm missing is a 7 USB port PCI card, which will be here within the week. I also ordered a M2 hard drive, a 256 gigabyte M2 hard drive that I'd never heard of M2 before until just the other day, so I just ordered it. It'll be here within the week, so I'll have it to put the OS on soon. So I'm not even going to be able to boot this thing up and put an operating system on it for a couple of days or about a week. So I should be able to do that soon. But I figured I'd go ahead and start this video, and I'll assemble everything I can today, and then I'll just towards the end of the video it'll start going to day 2, and I'll date it and show you all the other new parts that I got. But I'm going to go through all the parts that I have now. I did order a Mamba. It's a mouse, a Mamba mouse. I'm excited about it. It's wireless, but it has a wired option, and it seems really nice. I took it out and felt it. I really like the feel of it. Just so I had a new mouse with the whole new computer setup. I also ordered a really nice Black Widow keyboard, but I think I'm actually going to return this because it was $70 for the keyboard, and it clicks. It clicks real loud whenever you use it, and I'm mainly going to be using this computer for a musical studio, not gaming. So I think I'm going to return this one, and there's another one online that's Steel something is the brand. I can't remember the name of the brand, but it's silent. They're silent keys. So whenever I'm playing with my mic next to my PC or hitting the keys using them as a musical key, it won't make a clicking sound every time I press the button, because I think that's going to drive me nuts if I try to keep that keyboard for that. So I think I'm going to go with the other keyboard for that, but I got that keyboard for now anyway. I'm not going to take it out of the box. I've got a spare one that I'm going to use. I ordered a Be Quiet case. I don't even know if you can see this in the video. You can. All this stuff over here. This case is it was a little expensive, and it's a little bigger than I was assuming, but it's crazy nice. It looks really beautiful inside of it, and it's got a tempered glass side to it, which is absolutely gorgeous, so it's going to be beautiful. I'm really excited about it. I ordered a MPG X570 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in, which was really big for me. And I've never had a 570 motherboard before. I think my other one was like the 300 series, which is, you know, an earlier series. The X450s would be the next step up. But I went ahead and went with the 570 because I got a 3rd generation Series 3000 Ryzen 9, the X 3950. So instead of getting the 3900 12 core, I got the 50X, which is 16 cores, because I figured more cores would work better for music processing with the more sounds. I think it would work a lot better. So I got the 16 core. $700 for just the processor. It doesn't come with a cooler, so I had to buy a separate cooler, but I think I'm going to be really happy with the results. I did buy an NZXT. It's a 73X, or X73 is what it is. It's a 360 millimeter radiator for water cooling, so it's going to be the first PC I've ever built with a water-cooled radiator in it, water-cooled, so I should be able to keep it cool. They recommend a X62, which only uses 2 fans. You can go by that for size, like a 28 millimeter, 280 millimeter. I mean, it only has 2 fans on it. This one holds 3 fans, so it's a little bit bigger. So I might overclock a little bit, but I'm not planning on overclocking too much. I don't want to wear out the processors on it. It comes with these really nice 3 silent fans. They supposedly work really well. So I'm really happy with it. There wasn't a box that came with that. I bought one that was open boxed, but it still has the factory thermal paste on it, so it's never been used. A guy bought it, and I think he said that he decided to go with a different setup, and he just didn't need it. So it was saved me like $20, I think, buying one that didn't have a box. It has all the brackets and stuff. It's never been opened, so I'm happy. I have a 1,000-watt power supply. It's a Rentec, which is typical, but it's 1,000 watts, so I don't think I'll have any issues with power for this thing. It should have plenty of power. I also bought a this is a 1 terabyte SSD solid state drive. Crucial has BX500 and MX500 are the two types. The MX I think is a little bit faster. I've read some reviews, so I wanted it to be as fast as possible. And I was originally planning on putting the operating system on this, but I'd never heard of M2. So once I found out about M2, I went ahead and bought a 256 gigabyte M2 drive that I'm going to put on the motherboard to run the OS, so it should work a lot better. But I have to wait for that. As I said, I'll cut to another day later on the video, but I just wanted to get this PC started and get it building. I'll move the camera and put the camera down on top of the build and do a speed up motion of me putting everything together inside the computer. It's going to take me a couple hours just to install all this. I also bought a Zoltec Gaming GeForce GXT. It's a 1650, so it's 4 gigs of DDR6. I wanted DDR6. I preferred 8 gigs, but it was already 216 gigs for this card. $212 for this card, and it was going to cost me $400 or $500 for an 8 gig card. So I'm not going to be using this PC for gaming a whole lot. So I thought 4 gigs of DDR6 would be plenty. And that's about it as far as all the components. Oh, the RAM. I bought, this is a Viper Steel RAM. It's 4400 megahertz, which is the highest megahertz that the motherboard can handle. So I bought the fastest RAM I could buy and 32 gigs of it. So I have 32 gigs of this really fast RAM, which should be enough to sustain Fruity Loops and any other music program I would use in the PC, because I was having trouble with my other PC trying to run several sounds at the same time, 5-10 minutes playing with the program, and it would crash. I tried to open up some of my old files I'd made before and it would crash. All kinds of issues. So I don't want to have any more problems. So I spent $2 grand to put this thing together. So that does it with the parts that I have right now. As I said, I still have a PCI Express USB extension with 7 USB ports on it on the way, and an M2 hard drive that's on the way. They look like sticks of RAM. It's wild how small they are, and they're crazy fast. They have their own connection onto the motherboard. So I'm going to be really excited. So I'm going to move the camera, and I'm going to bear the camera down on the PC, rearrange everything, and start unboxing everything and putting this PC together. So here we go. camera quit recording on me. It kind of shut off while I was building it. But I've got everything in there except for the graphics card, which I'm going to wait to put in because I have to remove a panel right next to where the graphics card goes to put the M2 hard drive. It's weird calling that little thing a hard drive. On the motherboard I have to take a panel off, and it takes 3 screws, and I'm just going to leave the panel on there and everything, and I'm not going to put the graphics card in because I can't even put the OS on it until I get that, that card. I could load an OS on the SSD that's in there now that I put in it, but I think I'm just going to leave it until I get the other hard drive. I don't want to put an OS on that hard drive. So I'm gonna grab the camera and give you a look at this. I've already got everything set up, and I just got to hit the power button. This is first start. Let me get the camera to where you can actually see this thing. Terrible camera skills. Yeah. Alright. My cat in the way. Whoa. Okay, I had a flash and then death. So let me look and see what's going on. Alright, here we are again. It's been a couple days since the fail segment. That was day 2. It's been probably 5 days since then, but I had to wait to get my M2 hard drive. I now have the M2 hard drive. It's in there, and I have Windows 10 installed on it, so everything's up and running. Got my graphics card in there up and running, all the drivers installed for the motherboard and graphics card, the 32 gigs in there. I got the OS installed on the M2 like I was saying, and I now have the secondary SSD terabyte hard drive in there running, just for extra storage. I have this external SSD. It's a 1 terabyte that I keep, just it's where most of my files are, because I tend to wipe computers a lot, so every couple of months, or whenever the computer starts getting bogged down or anything, I tend to completely wipe it and reinstall Windows and keep all my files on a separate external. So it saves a lot of steps of going through and trying to worry about running a bunch of cleaning software. I just completely wipe it and reinstall, which takes 30 minutes to an hour, and keep all my base files on the external. I shouldn't have to worry about that with this though, because I'm not really using the PC for going to any websites, running Flash games, and I don't watch porn, so I don't have to worry about any of that. I was having fun with the NZXT logo on the CPU. There's a ring around it that you can select the way that it lights up. Like, it lights up in all different colors, and you can select it. It's on breathing now, so it's fading in and out. The NZXT logo does the same thing. You can set it up into all different types of modes and stuff, and I just got to playing with that stuff. I do have the NZXT logo right now set up on one that was making it completely change colors to all kinds of different colors, which is kind of cool. I'm going to set them both on that for a second just so you can see it. I might even put the video up on it, like at the very end of the video, just so you can see it doing that, because it's kind of neat how this works. I'm not going to leave it like this because it'd be distracting, but it's kind of cool. You can also set it up to go with sound, so whenever the bass hits, it would light up, which is kind of cool. And there's a little light behind where the main motherboard power cable is that changes colors 24/7 back there, but you can't really see it because I put my own LED in it. Like, I bought like 6 LED strips that are this blue ambient light. I bought those probably a year ago, and I was going to put them in my car, I do believe, and I thought they were yellow. I ordered them to be yellow, but they were just some real cheap little LED lights you have to wire up yourself to 12 volt. So I managed to put one of those in there just for more lighting, because it was kind of dark in there, and the only thing you could see was the NZXT on the the Kraken water cooler right over the processor, and the little backlight behind the motherboard. And other than that, it was all dark in the case. So most of the inside of the case was all dark. You couldn't see inside of it. It was driving me nuts. So I wanted to brighten it up and make it look fancy. If I would have thought about it more, instead of buying this Be Quiet case that I spent like $180 on, I would have invested in one of the fancy RGB cases that have all the fans that change colors to red, green, and blue, and you know, complete glass front. It'd probably be a little bit smaller of a case than this one, because this case is a little oversized for my taste. I can't even fit it in my spot where my computer normally goes on this desk. But I put my own little LED in there. I had to cut some wires on one of the ends of the wires off of the power supply. I had to cut into the power supply myself and wire it up myself. But it works fine. It looks great. I super glued it onto the side on the inside of the case in there, and it only comes on whenever the computer's on. I don't think it'll get too hot in there, because with all the fans running, leaving it on auto seems to make the fans run quite high. Like the front of the case has a little thing up here where I can run it on auto 1, which now it's real quiet because they all run really slowly now, all the fans. 2, which speeds them up a little bit, and then 3, which makes them run pretty much all out, and you can kind of hear the fans, but it keeps it real cool in there, so I shouldn't have to worry about the lights. I'm probably going to run it down on 2 for right now. The NZXT cooler, the fans in there, because there's 3 fans on that big radiator, there's a separate 4-pin connector off of the Kraken main module that goes over the CPU that connects into all 3 of those fans. Well, it's just a 4-pin connector, and all 3 of the fans have their own 4-pin connector that's a regular fan pin connector. So I cannot plug those 3 into the 1. So I bought this Kraken cooler online open box. So I think that it was supposed to have the daisy chain in there, to where you connect the one in and then it has the 3 other connectors, so I can connect the 3 fans in, but it didn't. So I think that either the guy didn't ship that to me, or he left it out, or I don't know if it was an accident or not, but I'm not too concerned about it. Right now, all 3 of the fans are plugged into a fan hub that's that this tower had built into it with the whole 1, 2, and 3 fan speed. It's got 3 extra fan slots, so all 3 of those fans are plugged in the same as the rest of the tower fans. So the CPU is keeping cool, the temperature depending on what I set the whole fan case to. I do have a extra cable on the way that'll allow me to plug into the temperature reader for the NZXT, so that whenever it gets hotter, it runs faster. Whenever it gets cooler, it slows the fans down. With three ends, so I can plug those fans into that, but I have to wait on that's coming in the mail. I'm still waiting on it, but for now it'll work fine the way it sits. It looks pretty cool. For my next build, when I build another PC, I'm definitely going to go for more of an aesthetic, where I'm going to get the regular mid-tower size case, and I'm going to definitely get all RGB fans that are all glowing and fancy. I'm going to try to get, I've also seen, I did a lot of watching, I watched a few videos of people building these PCs, and instead of buying an NZXT individual cooler, I'll probably invest in just a regular water block, and they have tanks that look like Resident Evil tanks, like the vial, the T-Virus, the vials that they're in, you know, they're like yay tall, about as tall as that space, and they just hold water. And I'll probably buy my own tubes and like bend my own tubes, and you know, put coloring in the water so that there's water going all through it, water hoses in there of all different colors. It should look awesome. But I'm not going to worry about building another PC for a while. Maybe another 2 or 3 years down the road, I might end up building another PC. But this computer should last me for quite a long time. 32 gigs of DDR4 at 4400 megahertz. I had to go in and set the clocks on those because they tend to, I think it auto runs them at like 31 or 21 megahertz, 2100 megahertz, which is a little low. So I set them to boost so that they're at 44. I was going to overclock the CPU. I was thinking about doing that, but the base speed on the CPU on these is 3.5 megahertz or gigahertz. I can't remember if it's megahertz or gigahertz on the readings on those, but it's a 3.5. But it actually shows it running at a 3.87 for all 16 cores. So I'm going to leave it at 3.87. I'm not going to complain about that. That's enough of a speed boost from a 3.5, which I think is what my base clock on my Ryzen 5 is on my other PC. So I'm not going to complain about that. That's plenty fast for me. 16 cores running at 3.87 should be plenty for what I want to do. 4 gigs of DDR6 for the Zotac GeForce GTX 1650 Super that I put in it. And I also put a 7-port USB. So they're high-speed 3.0 USB ports. And there's 7 of them on that little card in there. So that should work fantastic. The little fan for the bridge down there, I don't know if that's the audio controller or one of the bridges for the north or south bridge. I didn't really pay that much attention. But whenever you turn the PC on, that little fan kicks on and off, but it's not running right now. It kind of worries me a little bit because that fan is not running at all. I think if it gets hot, if I start running big processes, I think that fan will kick on if it gets warm and it reads it as a high temperature. But as it's sitting right now, that fan is just off. So it kind of bothers me a little bit. I don't know if that is actually something wrong with the CPU or not. I'm not sure. I know that the pin, the connector that's got like 20 pins on it, that most PC cases have built in, that you plug into the motherboard for like the power cables and the power button, and it operates the USBs on the front of the PC. You plug into the motherboard. It's down there. There's 2 ports. There's one on the motherboard right there that plugs straight down onto the motherboard, and then there's one over here that I have it plugged into that comes in from the side. Well, when I first plugged that into the side and tried to unplug it and pull it out, it actually pulled the whole casing around the pins off with it. So I took some super glue. I have a gel super glue, and put that on the back of the pins, and then slid the case back on it and let that set. And I don't think super glue conducts electricity, so I'm not having a problem once it dries. That seems to hold that in place, and I don't think that's what's causing it, because it was doing that before I had that issue. So I hope it just kicks that fan on when it gets too hot. But I now have a total of, I think, $2,050 into this computer. $2,050 total in everything on this PC. Including the brand new Razer mouse that I bought, which I'm really liking. I got it wired right now, but I can remove the wire, and it has like a little charging station you can set it up on to charge it, so you can keep running it wireless, or you can plug it back into the sensor, and it'll run wired and charge at the same time. And it seems to be really responsive. It's got 2 little buttons on it to change speeds. Here, I think I can just pull the thing out. Oh, it's got a release switch. It's got 2 little buttons on it for, I don't know if you can see it, kind of. Next to the main left mouse click, it's got 2 buttons on it. You can go up and down to adjust the speed. So as you're moving the mouse, it'll register how much it moves. Like you can turn it all the way down and you move your mouse like this and it barely moves the mouse pointer, or you can turn it all the way up and you move your mouse like this and your mouse is way on the other side of the screen. So while you're playing games and stuff, you can adjust it to how you like while you're playing. It's also got the 2 side buttons, which is a little extra. Which is, extra buttons you can assign for whatever if you're playing any other games. And I really like the fact that it's rechargeable and I don't have to put AA's in it. It's real smooth and it responds really well. I had the Razer keyboard that clicks. It has a real fast response. It's made for gaming. It was like $70 for that keyboard. But it clicks when you click the mouse buttons, and it kind of was going to drive me nuts, I can tell, because I'm going to be using the keyboard a lot for music, because instead of using a regular music keyboard, which I have a little MIDI keyboard with a couple of touch drum pads and everything, I don't use it real often because I prefer to use the regular keyboard. I didn't really like the clicks. It was going to drive me nuts. I had already opened it, so when I returned it, I paid $75 for the thing, and I only got like $55 back out of it, so because I had opened it, I had actually just broken the plastic and opened it up, and like, I didn't even take the keyboard out of the case. I literally removed the plastic that was on top, the big plastic covering, nothing sticking to the keyboard, and clicked a couple of the keys, and I was just like, no, and you know, I put the plastic back on it and sealed it back up. I didn't even really mess with it at all, but because I'd opened it, they said that he can't sell it for the same price. So I took a little bit of a loss there, but I found another keyboard that's silent. So whenever you press the keys, it's silent, and it's still a a high performance gaming keyboard or whatever. You know, they all kind of get labeled that these days. But it's a decent keyboard for $30, so I can't complain. I made my money, most of my money back, and this keyboard's cheaper than what I paid for it. So returning that keyboard and getting this keyboard actually gave me a little bit of money back instead of just taking a loss. So I can't complain. It's still on the way. I haven't gotten it yet. I'm using a old school, I won't pull it down here, but an old school like Walmart keyboard that you buy with a wireless mouse and a keyboard kit for like $10-20. It works. But I'm excited. You should see my cat down here. She's gonna chew on me if I play with her. She's used to being on camera now. I think she kind of gets jealous whenever I get on the camera. But this is completed. I am super ecstatic. I'm calling it Quasar. So that's what I named it. Is Quasar, like a big black hole, size of, I think a quasar is like a million suns. It's huge. But yeah, so I am ecstatic about the way this is going. I have all drivers installed. I have already installed Minecraft, and I've started installing Final Fantasy: A Realm Reborn. I've never really played much of Realm Reborn. I have not opened any games and tried it yet. I did open FL Studio and listen to the beginning song. I didn't really play around with it much, but it seemed to run really smooth. So I'm extremely excited. It boots up really fast, and all the functions of like getting online and everything run faster than anything I've ever messed with. So I am ecstatic. So I'm really happy with it. Oh, I wanted to mention the reason why it didn't work, and I had that fail video on day 2 whenever I finally I think I tried to make a video of day 2 whenever I finally got it fixed, but my camera died on me again, because my camera died first when I was assembling the computer. My camera died. I tried to do first start on camera, and it just started for just a second and then died. Well, there's a 8-pin connector for the motherboard at the top of the motherboard, and there's a 4-pin connector at the top of the motherboard. Well, I think you only have to have one or the other plugged in. What I had done is apparently I had found a way to stick an incorrect 8-pin in the 8-pin, and I had divided the proper 8-pin into 2 4-pins, which you can do because the pins they separate depending on the connector you need. And I had put one of the half of the 8-pin, 4 pins, in the 4-pin slot. So I had 12 pins in, and through further examination, I noticed I just needed to take the 4-pin out and put it back to an 8-pin, and the other 4-pin that was in there completely delete and just put the 8-pin in. So there's 4 pins up there that aren't even plugged in, but it doesn't need them. I think it's just depending on the power supply you have, it can run off the 4 pins, but I imagined it would prefer the 8. So it's all running properly and functioning good. I'm actually going to open this thing up and maybe try a little Minecraft just to see how fast it loads and how smooth it's going to render. Maybe put specs in there just to try it out. I'd like to finish installing A Realm Reborn, but I started installing A Realm Reborn, and it takes like 2 hours to install it because it's 32 gigs. And I had not adjusted the settings for the PC yet, so the computer went to sleep while I was installing. So kind of interrupted the process. So I went in and adjusted all the settings, and I got to go reinstall it. Hopefully it'll start back up where it was installing before instead of having to go through the whole 2-3 hour process. Hopefully it'll only take another hour. But I'm super excited about it. I have this PC as my normal workstation PC for music and video editing and gaming, which I'm super ecstatic about. I got to kind of stay off the games and get to work because I got a lot of stuff I want to do. But that's Quasar. I was going to show you some of the other ones that I have. This one is my other main PC back here. I don't think I really named it. Right now its name is Rosewill, which is the name of the company that my cat's down here. Adjust the video camera a little bit. Roswell, which is the name that's on the front of the PC. But this computer I built like 2 years ago, and it's been my music making computer, but it's kind of been failing me lately. To play around with music and to play video games and stuff. I think it's got 16 gigs of DDR4. I don't know the speed of the RAM that's in it, but it's only 16 gigs. And it's i5. It was an i5 of some kind. I think it's either 6 or 8 cores, but it's only an i5. And I don't have a graphics card in it right now, but I did buy another 4 gig of. It's a 4 gig DDR5 card, which isn't that big, but and it's not a brand name. I bought it was only $50 for this card, so I just bought a cheap card because I'm just going to put a cheap card in it to use as a secondary PC or sell it. So that's been here for a while. I did take out the little panel on the front because I'm going to put an actual disk drive in it, because I have an external disk drive, but it fails. Like, I plug it in and try to use it, and it'll read the disk for like a minute or two, and then it'll just fail and it'll stop reading the disks, period. So I'm going to put an actual disk drive in this one, and I need to take it and blow it out because it's been 2 years since it's been cleaned. But I've had this computer and this computer torn apart like 2 or 3 times just to figure out that it was the fact that I did not have the plugs in properly for the power for the motherboard. I do also, back here, have a Corpse of Tanks edition case that I bought a really cheap motherboard that runs I think DDR3 RAM, so it's a little bit of an old motherboard, but I can't get it to work. I've even bought a couple extra RAM sticks to see if the RAM was the issue. It does not have HDMI, so it runs off an old school monitor cable. But I cannot get the motherboard and CPU set up in that thing to work. I bought it used with the CPU and motherboard together with a RAM stick, and it's just, it will not work for me at all. And I only paid like $30 for the setup in it. So I'm probably just going to scrap it and throw it away and buy another cheap setup with like an i5 or something and put in it. Because I have this that's been sitting around forever. It is a Tesla K10, 8 gigabytes of DDR5 with 2 GPUs. There are 2 GPUs in this thing. These don't come with any ports, obviously. There's no HDMI ports. They're strictly internal graphics processing units. But they work excellent for like servers, or people use them for mining a lot. But I paid like $120 to $150 for this thing like 2 years ago because I was going to put it in this PC, the Roswell, and I never could get it to work. The drivers do not like working with Windows 10. So I'm going to use this as my secondary, maybe put it next to my television in my living room and stream games to it because I have a capture card I'm going to put in it. And then the Corpse of Tanks is going to be a server. I'm going to put Windows 8 on it, so it'll run this K10. Buy another cheap little, maybe i5, or not i5, but a Ryzen 5. Because that doesn't have an i5 on it. This is a Ryzen 5, not an i5. Sorry if I've confused. AMD and Intel. A Ryzen 5 or less, or something with DDR4. Something with at least 4 processors in the Corpse of Tanks case with this big GPU, just to let it turn it on, and I'm going to set it in a corner and maybe run a Tekkit server and have it up 24/7, and just keep it, back out of the way and just let it run all the time. Maybe set it up on my network so I can connect to it from anywhere and all that good stuff. But I'm super excited about having Quasar finished. It still has the plastic on the front of it. I'm going to change the NZXT emblem so that it's not changing colors and all flashy like that. I feel like I'm going to have epilepsy looking at it. Never had issues like that before, but that's just what, that's the stereotype or the thing that people say. I'm super happy. Everything's going great. I just wanted to finish the video of me assembling this computer. So this is Quasar. I hope you enjoyed watching me assemble, or at least talk about assembling and kind of get a little bit of video of me assembling a $2,000 PC. I'm probably, if you try to buy this from a store, it'd probably be more like $3,000 because of the assembly and everything. But buying all the parts myself and assembling it, I have over $2,000 in this PC now. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you all are enjoying your lives, and God bless. Thank you.